I'm just going to answer Angelina Kelly, who is asking about sending signed merchandise to the UK. Everybody in the chat, if you're new, we do send overseas, internationally, but you have to send an email to support@sammythebull.com, and I will take care of you personally because you can't order it on the site. You can see everything on the site, but you can't order it off the site.
Yeah, that's good advice. Just get in touch with Amina. She'll take care of you.
Okay, next one is from Catalano TV. Sammy, hi, Joe Catalano here. Any chance I can interview you on my podcast? I did reach out to you on Instagram. Michael Franchise can vouch for me. Well, Joe.
This is Joe Catalano. You know, I'm not sure who you are, but I have cousins who are Catalanos. In the Catalano family, they were from Long Island. They're my cousins. I had, the uncles and aunts in that family died, but I have cousins there, Joe. I'm not sure if you're one of them. And what do they want me to do?
He wants you to be on his podcast. He should reach out to me.
Reach out to Amina and we can talk about it.
So send an email to support@sammythebull.com.
And let me
Sterling,
know if you're my cousin or you're related to me in some way.
Where did Stymie get his name?
I really never knew that, why they called him Sammy. His name was Joey D'Angelo, and it was a nickname. In the Mafia and in Brooklyn, everybody had a nickname. Sammy the Bull. I mean, everybody had a nickname. Richie Shellackhead, Jimmy Big Nose, Tommy Fat Ass. I mean, so everybody's got a nickname, you know. So I don't know how he got that nickname. I never asked him. I know that's what everybody called him, and that's what I called him. He became one of my right-hand men and was eventually killed by some scumbag.
I like the shave with Williams Mug shaving soap and a brush. How do you like your shave?
Well, I don't grow hair anymore, but I used to use a brush with inside a cup. There was the soap, and you push it around and put it on. That's what my father used to use. So when I got old enough to shave, that's exactly what I used. I used the straight razor. I got to learn how to use that. The barbers used to use that. Nobody uses that anymore, don't they? Today they got all kinds of machines and stuff.
Kelly says, hi, with your farm in Jersey, did you guys have a horse track for competition horses?
I had a regulation size track for trotters and paces. When we bought the farm, I bought it a 30-acre farm, and I, put a track for just a dirt track for my kids to ride horses and stuff like that. And then I met a guy who did freehold racetrack. They did the actual track. And I called him in and I said, could you build a track for me? I'm going to buy some racehorses. And he said, Sammy, I have the blueprints. I built freehold racetrack. I could build this. You got enough room, I could build the same exact track. I gave him money. He started work on it. And I had a regulation size track. People wanted to rent my stalls and my barns because they wanted to train their horses there and stuff like that. I did rent some of it, and some of it I kept for my own horses and stuff. So it was a great place. I put a pool in. It was a great place for me to get away from the Mafia and just sit back and chill with my family, my kids, nieces, nephews. My crew used to come there. A lot of my crew would come, not for the day, but with their wife and kids for the whole weekend. I remember Michael DeBat used to go to a butcher in town, and he says, I want to buy some steaks, some this, some that. How much? He said, give me 100-pound steaks. The guy was blown away. How much? 100 pounds of steak? Because we had so many people in and out. They must have loved me there buying 100 pounds of steak all in one shot. But yeah, the farm was a great place.
Jimmy would like to know if Neil Delacroix wanted to go to war with Paul for control of the family, could he have won?
Of course he could have won. He was a gangster, and he had a lot of gangsters behind him, but he wasn't into starting a war. He respected the life. He loved Carlo Gambino. When Carlo Gambino died and recommended that Paul Castellano become the boss. So they were voting him in on Carl's recommendation. When Neil came out, he went and meet with Paul and said, I love Carl. If he picked you, whatever you want me to be. You want me to be your underboss? You want me to step down? Whatever you want me to be. And Paul, I was at that meeting. I wasn't in the same room, but I was in the house that day. And Paul Castellano says, I would love for you to become my underboss. And that's how he became the underboss. He avoided a war, people killing each other. He was in jail. He said, I don't know what's going on. I've been in jail for quite a while. I'm not going to come out here and start a war.
Comic says, did you ever hear of the two Chinese brothers in Rikers Island that took out half of the guards?
Two Chinese guys?
Mm-hmm.
What'd they do?
They took out half of the guards in Rikers Island.
No, I never heard that story. I mean, I know of a Chinese guy who brought wonton soup to the prison, so. No, I don't think anybody took out all of the guards. I don't think it's possible.
Adam says, hey, Sammy, did you ever hear of Tommy Tough Knuckles? Who is he?
Tommy what?
Tough Knuckles.
Tommy Tough Knuckles?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Robert says, I was locked up in Phoenix with your son. I lived in Gilbert as well. How is your son doing?
My son is doing very well. Like I said, he's starting a cooking show soon. And, we're going to trap him into this. We're going to put out stuff that he made for Easter. And I want all these to turn around and send them, Gerard, give me the recipes. And they'll be stuck making recipes, and that'll force him into doing a cooking show. He was a professional chef at a small part in his life, so he's a really good cook. I think it's a great idea, but I need you guys to help me out and push him into that direction.
Do you know where the name Campanello came from?
Campanello. There was a couple of Campanellos. I mean, I don't know which one you're talking about or who they were, but it's not it was a pretty common name, I think.
Hey, Sammy, did you ever meet Billy Batts?
No. That's the guy who was in Goodfellas, Billy Batts. No, I never met him.
How would you compare the older generational gangsters to the modern day gangsters?
The old timers that I knew, again, I'm doing a history of the Mafia, and I talk about them, Lucky Luciano, Carlo Gambino, there's so many of them. They had wisdom. It was a different thing. They came from Italy, different places, most of them, a lot of them in Sicily. And they had tremendous wisdom what went on in those countries and how they ran things. When they came to this country, it fit right in. They not only came to this country, they were in a lot of other countries. And they really became the history of the Mafia. And as time changed, the whole thing changed. Part of it is that when guys were born in this country, like me, a lot of them married other women who weren't Italian, Irish, Jewish, German, whatever. And it changed the culture of it a little bit. So they had said, okay, we're going to change that to say, all you have to be is Italian on your father's side. And because you carry his name, so you are what your father is. So we'll make you, but you have to be Italian, at least on your father's side. I never agreed with that, because I said, you can't take away how a person feels about their mother. They're born from a woman. When they're sick, there's a woman. When they go to school, there's a woman. When they eat, the house is cleaned and she cooks. You can't say that those doesn't have an influence on a man growing up, that it's just your father. So the life changed a little bit, like John Gotti. John Gotti's wife was, I think, a Russian Jew. And so John Gotti Jr. got made, and he wasn't fully Italian. So I think it changed the mafia a little bit. I'm not, really in a bad way, but it changed the thinking, it changed the mentality. These are people who were born and raised in the country. They don't know what it was to be a peasant in Sicily. So they don't know what they went through, a lot of guys. So
Back in the super chat, Paul wants to know, Sammy, how did associates know who their captain was if the rules say they're not allowed to know?
no, as an associate, it's not like you're not respected. You're respected. You're not a made guy yet. Maybe you never will be. But they know who their boss is. They know he's the made guy. They know he's going to go report to, in my case, Toto. He was the power. People knew he was the captain. You can't tell one another, but people know in general who's who and what's going on. You can't hide it. But they're not telling you this guy's a captain and this guy's a made guy. They don't reveal that information, but it's common sense. As a kid growing up, I know who was who and what was going on. You think when I saw Joe Bonanno or I saw Carlo Gambino, I didn't know. And I wasn't. I didn't have to be told. You knew the names; they were legends.
For all of those asking about the scripted show, I've said it multiple times in the chat. Please stay tuned. You will know when you know. There isn't anything to speak on right now, so we can't say anything, guys. Movie AV Impulse says, I made a video about you. I feel it was accurate. I hate when people talk about things they don't know. I would love to also interview you on my YouTube. Your storytelling is addictive.
Well, like I said before, get in touch with Amina, and we'll see what we can do. Now, I'm going to go back to the history of the Mafia. I'm not a good reader. I'm a good storyteller, but I'm not a good reader. But I'll read it to you so at least you could understand what I'm saying. Here's what the trailer is going to be like. It's me saying, I'm not interested in telling the same old stories that could be found in countless books. Half of that is bullshit anyway. You want to read that stuff, go right ahead, knock yourself out. What I want to do is explain the inner workings of the Mafia. I want to pull back the curtain and show you what it was, why it existed, and how it operated. Now, with the distance that come between the day I took my oath to become a made member in the Mafia, I've grown older, wiser, and gained a perspective that cuts through all the myths. I still remember everything like it was yesterday. Every secret, every betrayal, every code that made the life what it was. I came of age at a very interesting and critical point in the lifetime of the Mafia in America. I was a young buck, just stepping into the life in the 1960s. My immediate captains and bosses were seasoned old-timers, men who actually rubbed elbows with legends like Lucky Luciano, Albert Anastasia, and Frank Costello. These were legendary mythical figures at that point. They were real men, my bosses, whose wisdom was passed directly to me, spoken face to face, like the sacred code handed down through the generations. I heard story after story of how Cosa Nostra moved and operated from its early 1900s through Prohibition in the 20s and 30s, through World War II, and into the post-war boom of the 1950s. Then you get into what many think of was the height of the Mafia in the 1960s. As I was there to not only witness it, I took part in it. While the country was still in an uproar over the Kennedy assassination, the mob was infiltrating various sectors of society, labor unions, politics, and legitimate businesses. It was during this time that I had the opportunity to meet Carlo Gambino, and I also met Joe Colombo. I was there through it all, the 70s, the 80s, and into the early 90s, when it all came crashing down. The downfall of the Mafia, the Gotti and Gravano era, which will forever be etched into history. The Mafia ceased being what it had been for the previous 100 years. I aim to show you how the Mafia is woven into the fabric of America. The Mafia is responsible for more than any other group for institutionalizing corruption. I know this because I did it. I lived it. I understood what the guys were doing because I was doing the same things. We lived by the same code. You can't tell the history of this country without telling the history of the Mafia. It would definitely be impossible. The Mafia made history. Cosa Nostra, this thing of ours, became part of the history of the greatest country in the world. That'll be my trailer opening to the history of the Mafia. And everybody's going to be pissed off at me now. I hope you guys are not going to be pissed off. And then I'll go into talking about the history of the Mafia. It would be similar to what I did in OurThing.com, my story. I think this will be even better. I got back with me now. I did the history of the Mafia, OurThing.com, with James Carroll. A great guy, very smart. One of the best editors, sound people that you can get. We're back together again. But this time I'm bringing in Nick Pileggi and JJ Sachs. I'm also bringing in Terry Winter and his wife and some other people who I think are going to be great. And we're doing a lot of research. And think about this. I'm 80 years old. My captain, Tato, was about 25 years older than me. And we talked every single day in his backyard. He'd come out with galoshes. And he'd sit there. And with a hose. He had fig trees, orange trees, tomato plants, everything. And he'd sit there with the hose, hosing and talking to me. A couple of times I told him, Tato, why are you telling me so much history? These were your friends growing up, I understand it, but, why are you telling me this kind of history? So, Sammy, one day, I think you're going to be sitting in my chair, and I'm teaching you the Mafia the right way. There were so many different examples he gave me, I still use till today. He died in 1993, I believe. And even when he never went against me. Even when I cooperated, he should have hated me. But he didn't. He blamed John Gotti. He said, I know Sammy. You're like a son to me. He's not a rat. What he did is John Gotti made his moves, and he made his. The only moves he had left. So I was very, very close with his son, Charlie Boy. And when Tato stepped down, he went to the commission to step down. The administration, I should say, of our family. When we took it over from Paul, John Gotti, Frankie Chico. And he wanted to step down as a captain. And they told him, do you want to be with us directly with us, the administration? He said, no. I want to come down to May, become a friend of ours, just a May guy. The only thing is I want the guy to replace me to be Sammy the Bull. I will be under him. I told him one time, a long time ago, that he would be sitting in my chair. I think it's time for him to sit in my chair. It was a thing that he felt. I became his acting captain. Now I was going to become his captain. That I could be fair, open, and honest with that position. And I took that position. It's not that I took it, he gave it to me. I always treated him like a king. I would tell his son, go pick him up and bring him to Tally's, my club. I told my guys I would have the front seat sitting at a table. When Tato came, I got up. I made him sit in my seat, and I sat on the side. And he told me, Sammy, now, this is you're the boss. No, Tato, you are. I might be entitled, but in respect, you're my man. I want you sitting there. And I wanted that so that everybody who came into my place knew how I felt towards Tato. Knew that if you ever fucked with Tato, I would take your fucking head off and use it as a fucking bowling ball. No games, no bullshit, no stories, just real stuff. That's Cosa Nostra. That's why Nick Pileggi said there's nobody who's going to tell the history of the Mafia but Sammy. Here's a man who's a legend. He's 92 years old. He's done all the big Mafia movies. He won't do the Mafia, history of the Mafia with anybody but me, he said. He sent me down 500 pages of history of the Mafia. Now, I only could go back so far legitimately on my own, and then I have to do research. What better than to have people like that behind me doing it? And I'm doing this from my heart. It'll be just as good as our thing.tv, I think better. Because now I know what I did in that video. I know whatever mistakes I made. I don't intend to make them again. And having James Carroll by my side, doing it, me and him are going to make history. People will understand the Mafia like never before. And understand that we got bad dudes in the Mafia who are like serial killers. We have everything. Police force, military, everything has got bad apples. We had them too. I don't consider myself one. I don't consider Tato one. I don't consider a lot of them one. So I really want to do a great job with this. And it'll be so entertaining, it'll be off the charts. And I hope to make history with this history of the Mafia. It was told, like I said before. You want to read those stories, go ahead and read them. Knock yourself out. Now I'm starting to get a little emotional about it, so I'm going to go into another area where I'm going to take some more other questions from my TikTokers and everything. Sterling's reaching for the microphone.
Yes, I'm going to turn it over to Sterling. We're going to do a couple more questions, and then we're going to wrap it up.
You heard the boss. A couple more questions, and I'm going to wrap it up.
TikTokers are actually super excited for the history of the Mafia. Nobody's mad at you, Sammy. Everybody loves you, and they're super duper excited. Let's see. We got a couple questions here. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Is there any place that I can connect for a one-on-one?
Yes, there is. Again, get in touch with Amina. We have the short calls that we give out. What are they called? Cameos.
Cameos, that's
and
right.
we also have, there's a half-hour call.
It's a virtual sit-down.
For a virtual sit-down. So in other words, you can sit down with me, and you're on a laptop and
Zoom.
on a Zoom, and we're talking. We can get it where we copy it and we send it to you so you can keep it. Or we do it a couple of different ways. Just get in touch with Amina. She works that all out. And you told her, you heard what she just told me, sit the fuck down, bro. We ain't done yet.
Who's the most dangerous guy that you've ever met besides yourself?
Amina. Listen, I had an office before I came here. There was guys on the roof. They were fixing something. This maniac got on the fucking ladder, climbed up on the roof. What are you doing on the roof? She's a tough cookie.
I don't consider the mob bad. I grew up in Red Hook, and all of us guys, as we called them, always protected us kids so we could play and not have to worry about anything.
Yes. You know, I get that so many times that I don't try to give the Mafia a bad name. We did some things that are fucked up, but the Mafia in a neighborhood, in any Mafia neighborhood, women and children were that we own that neighborhood. We own her. You can't fuck with her. So we protected neighborhoods. You didn't see child abuse or things like that, or rapes. If you were a rapist or a child molester and we found out in our neighborhoods, you die. We didn't wait for getting arrested, of course. We knew that, you died. So the Mafia did a lot of good things, and I hope to bring that all out in the history of the Mafia. When I tell all the stories and what it is, I'm going to tell it all. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Whether I did it or other people did it, I'm going to tell it all. So that you really get an understanding of the Mafia, maybe like you've never heard before.
So this is kind of interesting, but Danny says that he used to DJ at the Plaza Suite.
You used to DJ at the Plaza Suite?
That's right.
Then you had to know me well.
And then one more question. Did you know any hitmen from Chicago from your time?
No, not much. I knew there was a Chicago family. I knew some of the names there. I didn't know them personally, no.
And hey, Sammy, I saw your baptism on TikTok today. How did you feel afterwards? God bless from Maine.
After what? After doing what?
When you came out of the water, how did you feel?
You know the strangest thing, I'm going to tell this. I haven't told this yet. That's a great question. When I came out of the water, the pastor put his hand on my chest and on my back. And he was going to dunk me in the water, and he said that my sins would remain under the water, and Jesus would forgive me. And I clown a lot, so I told him, Mosa, you see those guys on the side there watching? Yeah, he says. I said, those are my guys. If you don't pull me up out of the water fast enough, you're going to get shot. So he started laughing, the pastor. He had a sense of humor, was a good guy. But anyway, he put me under the water for a little while. When he took me up, you know, I wanted to come up out of the water. But the strangest thing is when I came up, my hands were out like this a little bit for only a split second or two. And I don't know why till today. The only thing I could think of is when my hands were out, I was accepting Jesus Christ into my body. It's the only thing I could think of. Now, it's not far-fetched, I'm not sure, but there's no other reason why I came out of the water like this. Then I went up to wash the water off my head or whatever. But I felt great, and till today, I think it was a good move I made. And, you know, one more thing I like to tell you before I go. I've been working on racing cars. It's always been a fetish of mine on my bucket list. I want to race cars. I want to drive in a race car. Now I'm doing it. I'm being trained. I go to classes on driving and stuff like that. I told you about this new girl. She made some logos for the car. She's really, I mean, she's a great designer, whether it's clothes or for a car or whatever. And so I'm going to do that as well. You're 80 years old, you're going to drive a car? I said, yep. I got a team behind me, a pit team. I met with them. I practiced going in and out of the car, through the window. Now, why they do that, they say, if the car crashes and catches on fire, you have 7 seconds to get out of the car. 7 seconds. So the first time I tried it, I didn't have all the equipment on me. I had some of it. It was 30 seconds. The guy said, Sammy, you would have been dead twice. I said, all right. And I've been practicing. I went down. I put some equipment on. There's 5 belts that hold you in. Straps over your shoulders. That little rag on the side of the window. You got to knock that off. You got to take the steering wheel off and throw it. It's really not easy. My hands are all banged up. I don't know if you could see the cuts and bruises. That's from trying to get out fast. 15 seconds. I cut from 30 down to 15. Now, I would have only been dead once. Of course, you got to get out in 7 seconds. I'm going down to a regular track with my own car and a driver who sits next to me. And I drive around the track with no other cars. So he's training me, showing me what to do. If he yells, they're coming up on you, hit the high. Hit the high is hitting the high part of the track where it's up. The low is where the blacktop is on the bottom. So I'm learning because I can hear them talking to me, and they can hear me talking to them. And I'm turned on about it. It's on my bucket list. I intend to try it, do it. And so don't be surprised in another couple of months, you're going to see me in, NASCAR race, doing 185 miles an hour on a straight. And they already told me, when you hit the curve, get it down to about 110, 115. And now, when I go to the store with my car, I'm zooming all over the place. I think I'm a race car driver. So you're going to see that pop up soon, too. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to back up. I'm going to do it. All right, guys, I'm going to have to wrap it up. Mina, she's going like this to me. Not wrap it up. Now she's going like, she'll shoot me. So, all right, so adios, motherfuckers.